Take a moment and think of the females in your life. Who comes to mind? A younger sister, your mother, or maybe a friend? Now, think about one of them being used or abused for some type of sex act. This is the story for Lexi Smith that began when she was only 9 years old. Stephanie Langston from the CBS 17 news station out of North Carolina wrote that a boy and his friend raped her, filming it, and she believes that this was used to market her to other men. After this horrible crime, she was sold for sex for multiple years. Today, I'm going to talk about human trafficking and the organization End Slavery Tennessee and Nashville that is fighting this cruelty in our state. In the United States, on average, every 2 minutes, a child is bought or sold for sex. This startling statistic, along with many of the other facts I will be discussing today, comes from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Today, I would like to encourage you in joining me in donating money or time in participation for End Slavery Tennessee events in order to help fight human trafficking in our state. First, let's look closely at human trafficking in the United States. Like I said previously, human trafficking is a growing issue in the U.S. Antislavery.org defines human trafficking as the process of trapping people through the use of violence or coercion and exploiting them for financial or personal gain. This definition from antislavery.org goes one step further to remind us that what trafficking really means is girls groomed or forced into sexual exploitation. When thinking of human trafficking, it's easy to think about the information from the National Human Trafficking Hotline that says it's a multi-billion-dollar criminal industry that denies freedom to 24.9 million people around the world, as opposed to an issue in the states or cities that we live in. However, that is extremely false, with human trafficking being an issue right in our own backyards. To be exact, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation states that human trafficking is the second fastest growing industry just behind drug trafficking. The growth of this industry has had a huge impact on the youth in our nation. Kids Central Tennessee, based off of the Tennessee.gov site, estimates that the average age of a child sold for sex is 13 years old. So how can you and I help to combat this problem in our own backyards? One way to be an advocate and a champion for victims of human trafficking is through End Slavery Tennessee, as seen in the PowerPoint. End Slavery Tennessee, as defined by their organization's website, works tirelessly to advocate for human trafficking victims, educate communities across the state and the region, and inform legislators about the critical need to enact tougher laws so the traffickers are duly prosecuted. All of their extreme efforts have resulted in the organizations being designated as the single contact in Middle Tennessee for victim referral. Not only is this organization in Tennessee, but it's also right down the road from our university in Nashville, Tennessee. End Slavery Tennessee's approach to working with human trafficking is based on 3 key factors. First is advocacy, then prevention, and last, training. So first, advocacy. As a general community member, advocacy is a great way to support the change of laws by promoting the issue of human trafficking. Next, prevention. There are groups we can sign up for to learn more about how to keep our youth safe from human trafficking. Finally, there's being a volunteer. So you can participate in training no matter your background, and this can help you to learn more about how to identify human trafficking in your day-to-day lives. Whether you advocate for human trafficking victims through the use of your voice or participate in training or prevention groups, you will impact change on this issue. When being a servant in slavery Tennessee, we can't get caught up in the desire to make ourselves feel better during this tough work. As volunteers, we can have a direct impact on victims. However, we must realize we are doing this for the betterment of others. There are many children, women, and other victims who have utilized resources from In Slavery Tennessee for life-changing care. And you would have an influence on the work that is being done there every day, right in our own backyards. I hope that you will join me in making the decision to become a volunteer however you can for In Slavery Tennessee. Human trafficking is an extremely enormous issue, not only in the United States, but also in our home state. You have the ability to make a difference through volunteer time or other opportunities within Slavery Tennessee. You can make a direct impact on the lives of victims in our home state.